It was the kind of day that suited a funeral. Steel grey skies and the miserable onslaught of constant drizzle that made everything and everyone thoroughly damp, no matter how effective their umbrellas promised to be. Maria Capello stood by the graveside, silently working her leg muscles to keep her slim heels from sinking into the sodden ground. In a calf-length black dress and long black coat, the only colour she'd added was the splash of red on her lips. A thin arm wound around hers, clutched tighter as the casket was lowered into the ground, and Maria patted it gently with her free hand, offering what little support she could to the grieving widow. The older woman looked up at her with a sad, watery smile. "Thank you for being with me today," she said quietly. Maria shook her head. "There's no need for thanks, Margaret," she murmured back. "You know how much I think of you, how much I thought of John." Margaret nodded, tightly clamping her mouth as fresh tears began to fall. Maria gripped the widow's hand in hers. John had been a good man, a good husband to Margaret, a good friend to all who'd known him, and to Maria for the last 3 years. He'd been a barrister on the Parliamentary Council, comfortably seated in one of the most coveted legal roles in the country. Maria, though a barrister herself, hadn't quite reached those heights, nor would she ever. Her background would be scrutinised far too closely, should she ever try to get that close to the government. But through her friendship with John, she'd made some incredibly lucrative connections, and her association with him had given her a lot of sway in important legal circles. He had opened up the world to her, and her family, in more ways than he had any idea of. In ways that, if he had had any idea of, he would have been horrified about. But Maria had always been careful to stay 2 steps ahead in her dangerous game, ensuring that John remained safely blindfolded. Now that he was gone, it was going to be tough keeping the power she'd so carefully gained. But she should be able to do it, one way or another. The vicar called Margaret forward to throw the first handful of dirt, and her grip tightened again on Maria's arm. Maria gently released it, and gave the grieving woman a small nod of encouragement. Margaret reluctantly moved forward, and Maria's strikingly bright hazel eyes slipped across to the ornately carved oak coffin. She'd always found it odd that so much detail and expense went into the wooden box used to encase a dead body before it was buried 6 feet underground, never to be seen again. But as she stood and watched the polished oak and gleaming brass handles disappear under the shower of dirt, inch by inch, it was no longer John's dead body she was thinking of. It was the body of the man she'd had buried 2 feet beneath where his coffin now lay, late last night. The body she'd had buried without a specially carved box, or the parting words of a priest, or the eyes of the people he knew watching. The body that now, thanks to John and the general common decency shown to the officially dead in graveyards, would never, ever be found.